Mindfulness Interventions in High-Stress Occupations, a systematic literature review for stress reduction, presented by David G. Bailey, Doctor of Psychology, and this was my applied doctoral project. In conducting my research, leading up to the development of my literature review and research design, I found that negative stress has a notable effect on classroom teachers' uh, physical and emotional health and well-being quality. Uh, these stressors are found in the classroom, are found in the hallways, in meetings, in dealing with students and peers, teachers, other stakeholders, stress passed down from the local and state and national departments of education. Uh, the classroom teacher, the student teacher environment is very protective, and that protection is gone when they become full-blown teachers, and they're now responsible for classroom management and everything that goes along with becoming a teacher. Uh, Mindfulness is the method for considering what our current position is in the particular time, but more importantly, the stimulation that we are encountering that's having a contribution to our thoughts, emotions, and feelings, which is a cognitive concept. The mindfulness practice aspect is the means for how we learn how to control those experiences, mainly by paying attention to the stimuli, which I just mentioned, in the current moment, meaning that it's currently happening now. It's not something that has happened yesterday, last week. It's present moment. And that helps us to become aware of how that stimulation is contributing to our experience. Are we engaging? Are we resisting? Are we repressing ourselves? Are we becoming agitated? How are the stimulus that we're receiving driving those thoughts, emotions, and feelings, turning into an experience through behavior? Uh, Generally, I wanted to look at how people in high stress occupations suffer negative consequences uh, from actions that are affected by cognitive, emotional, and physiological function. Uh, Mindfulness practice is a means for teaching us how to be aware of the current moment without having a judgmental stance, and by understanding that awareness and understanding the situation and how things are contributing to behavior can be very beneficial to teachers. So we do that through the actual practice of mindfulness. Specifically, it's unknown as to what practices would be most effective. While we know that mindfulness is helpful and we know that interventions work, I want to know which ones specifically would have the most effect, and then giving an explanation or obtaining an explanation as to why those are effective. By knowing this will help me to best put together a program development, develop a program that could be offered as professional development training, and then also included with that is an evaluation. Essentially, my research questions are: what approaches or techniques are most effective in reducing stress? Why those approaches are the most effective? And then developing a best practice recommendations for implementing a program, and then providing a structure for evaluating that program. I conducted this research through a systematic literature review, which is a qualitatively focused study. I looked at past research within the last 5 years, strictly at a research standpoint. I considered research where interventions were easily practiced within a classroom environment and that were considered quick practice, meaning it could be completed within a 15 to 20 minute time frame, understanding that teachers don't have a lot of time available for practicing involved processes. Also, I included studies in my research that used interventions to promote resilience that affect performance and retention. So again, I'm focusing on keeping what would be necessary to keep teachers in the classroom and utilizing the skills and techniques and all the education that goes through becoming a certified teacher, keeping them where they wanted to be to begin with, which is in the classroom. Uh, Within my exclusion criteria, I did not use anything that was not published in English as the primary language, so no translated studies. But the big piece to my exclusion is those studies that didn't really help to answer what my research questions are. I excluded studies that were focused on cancer, were focused on uh, using mindfulness in the classrooms with students, although that would be a great way to extend a study. I chose not to use studies where it focused on special needs children. I mean, that would be a really great extension to the study as well, dealing with teachers maybe specifically working with the special education population. But the focus was systematically to find research that talked about specific interventions that could be used to avoid job stress that would then cause turnover. Uh, the techniques that I found were the most valuable were meditation, and these could be guided meditations through an app. Particularly loving kindness meditation was a really strong a strong intervention that helps to build compassion. The centerpiece of everything is the recharging or relaxation breath. Found one process called the 478 that really did seem to have great effect in increasing oxygen, slowing down the cognitive processes, allows us to become contemplative of what's happening. Uh, and it's really crucial to anything that is done meditation wise. And then the body scan is something that can be done with a little more time, but several studies talked about being able to modify it to focus on a particular area of the body where um, the tension is the greatest, particularly the head, shoulders, neck, or the abdomen and the legs and feet. So it's like you have your upper region and your lower region that really take in the stress the most. Uh, to really ensure that a program is adopted by a school system or by teachers specifically, skills need to be taught by someone who understands mindfulness intervention and can help teach the skills needed, can help mentor. Uh, Home practice has to be included because if the individuals are not taking it out of the protected training area and practicing it at home, a proficiency cannot be developed when it's needed. Support, whether it's through online means, coaching calls, uh, group support group meetings, or what have you. Support has to be an integrated part of this as well. And then lastly, it needs to be regularly evaluated for the desired effect and revised or changed as needed. Of my best practices, the one thing I want to hit on the most is what I refer to as a mindfulness zone. Yes, there needs to be practice, and trainers are necessary. Flexibility is important because we need to meet teachers at their schedule, and their schedules are very inflexible. They have things that pop up at any given time. But I want to focus on the mindfulness zone, that area that could be created in the school that's taking them out of the emotionally stressful environment of the classroom, that reminds them of that stress, and put them in an area where they can use that to start their day, to ground themselves, prepare their minds, use that during their break to kind of reflect and recenter, and then where they could go at the end of the day to process the day and prepare for the next day, which is what we want them to stay in the classroom. Thank you.